Hmm.
Now, from my students class 9, today I will continue chapter 7, that is the age of the Guptas. Now, in my last class I discussed about the Fayed's account of India, and you know that all of us we know that Fayed visited India during the time of Chandragupta Vikramaditya. Now, Kumaragupta I, Chandragupta was succeeded by Kumaragupta I, who enjoyed a long reign of some 40 years. Now then, the latter Gupta rulers, Kumaragupta had died. After Kumaragupta had died before his son Skandagupta could return from the battlefield. Now, my student, now I will discuss about the decline of the empire. Decline of the empire. Thus came to an end of a mighty empire. The causes of his decline and fall were many. An important reason seems to be repeated invasions of the Hunas, who had occupied a vast area of Punjab and some parts of central India. But the most important reason was that after Skandagupta, first reason was accepted repeated invasion of the Hunas. Number 2, disputes of succession among the Gupta rulers. Dispute of successions among the Gupta rulers. Now my students, now about the Gupta administration. Today I will discuss about the Gupta administration. Now the Gupta dynasty produced a number of able rulers. The Gupta dynasty produced a number of able rulers. Okay, my students, a number of able rulers who established a efficient system of administration. First of all, the king and the ministers. The Guptas discarded the modest title of Rajan and assumed the titles of Maharaja Dhiraja and assumed the title of my students, all of you look at the board, and assume the title of Maharaja Dhiraja Param Bhatraka, that is Param Bhatraka and Paramvira, and the Paramvira is equal to God. Paramvira was just raised to the position of the God. In the Allahabad pillar inscription, Samudragupta is referred to as God. In the Allahabad pillar inscription, Samudragupta was referred to as the God dwelling on earth. The rulers were referred to those possessing the power of Lord Vishnu, the protector and preserver of the universe. So my students, try to understand that to the Guptas, the king was considered like God. And in the Allahabad pillar inscription, I told you before that, in the Allahabad pillar inscription, we came to know many valuable information regarding Samudragupta. And in that inscription, Samudragupta was referred as the God dwelling on earth. The rulers were referred to those possessing the power of Lord Vishnu. All the rulers possess the power of Lord Vishnu, the protector and preserver of the universe. The goddess Lakshmi was represented on the Gupta coins as the consort of Vishnu. The king appointed all the governors. All the governors, ministers and high imperial officers and high imperial imperial officers. Usually he personally led his army on the battlefield. So my students, listen carefully. The king and his ministers, the Guptas discarded the modest title of Rajan and assumed the title of Maharaja Dhiraja and Parambhatraka and Paramvada just to the position of compared to the position of God. In the Allahabad pillar inscription, Samudragupta is referred to as a god dwelling on earth. The rulers were referred to those possessing the power of Lord Vishnu, the protector and preserver of the universe. The goddess Lakshmi was represented on the Gupta coins as the consort of Vishnu. So the kings were compared with Vishnu, the ministers and other imperial officers. Several ministers assisted the king in the task of administration. The mantri stood at the head of civil administration. The mantri stood at the head of the civil administration. Now, several ministers assisted the king in the task of administration. The mantri stood at the head of the civil administration. Other important officials included the Senapati, the chief of the palace guards, and the Sandhi Vigrahika, that is the minister for foreign affairs. Now the provincial administration and the district and municipal administration. Provincial administration. Now about the provincial administration and the provincial administration. The empire was divided into several provinces called bhuktis or desas. The provincial governors were usually the princes of royal birth, of the royal blood. As governors, they were called Uparika, Maharaja or Pradeshikas. Now district administration. Now the district administration. A bhukti was divided into districts called Vishyas, which were ruled by Vishyapatis or Ayuktas. They were usually appointed by the provincial governors. Many other persons had the position of authority in the district administration. Who were they? They were Prathamka Sheksha, who wrote letters and documents, Pustapal, the keeper of records, and Nagar Rasti, that is the chief banker. My students, so the administrative system was very modified and very much systematic. We are talking about the age of the Guptas. Now the municipal administration. From a new inscription, we learn about the town administration also. Some towns were administered by a municipal board which consisted of 4 members. They were called Nagar Sreshti, the guild president. Then the Sattavaha, the chief merchant, the Pratham Kulika, that is the chief artisans, and the Prathama Shaksha, the chief scribe. Oh, my students, you have to go through it because it is regarding the administration of the Gupta dynasty. You have to very much careful regarding the spelling. Also, a few seals recovered from ancient Vaishali in North Bihar indicate that the municipal board was functioning there with the help of representatives of the guilds of merchants, artisans and others. These guilds looked after the affairs of their members as well as the welfare of the town. Now, local or village administration. Now we will talk about the local and the village administration. We are talking about the administration of the Gupta dynasty. Now, each village was under a village headman known as Gramika. His duty was to enforce the law and to keep the peace. He was assisted by a village council comprising the leading local elements. No land transactions could be effected without their consent. So, regarding the local and village administration also, the Gupta dynasty was very systematic and well arranged. Administration of law and justice. The Gupta period produced vast legal literature. The lawgivers made a clear distinction between civil and criminal matters. Theft and assault on a person came under criminal law. There was a diversified and very classified law and justice and vast legal literature, and it was then given a distinction between civil and criminal matters. Theft and assault on a person came under criminal law. Disputes regarding property came under civil law. On account of growth in private property, we find detailed laws regarding partition, sale and mortgages of land and other properties. The law courts provide a hierarchy of courts at 3 levels: local and village level, district level and provincial level. The final appeal lay to the king. King is the all in all regarding the justice also. Now, feudal developments in the Gupta age. My students, today's last topic is feudal developments in the Gupta age. We are talking about the administration of the Gupta age. By feudal developments we mean freedom from the interference of central government and devolution of authority, that is transfer of power by central government to local bodies, guilds and professional bodies. Even the temple priest had powers to punish such persons as had violated the customs and rules of religious bodies. The professional guilds managed the affairs of their respective organizations. They also administered justice and made sure that their customs and rules were put into practice properly. So, feudal developments in the Gupta age, there was a remarkable developments in feudal field. That is, feudal developments we mean freedom from the interference of central government and devolution of authority, that is the transfer of power by central government to local bodies, guilds and professional bodies, that is central authorities are not all in all. Transfer of power. Even the temple priest had powers to punish such persons as had violated the custom and rules of religious bodies. The professional guilds manage the affairs of their respective organization. They also administered justice and made sure that their customs and rules were put into practice properly. So it was very organized in a nice way, and central powers were not all in all. In my next class, I will discuss regarding the contributions to the progress of literature and education. My students, today up till this, wish you all the best. See you in my next class. Okay.